Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology for June 26th through July 2nd. This week we have themes around reinvention, changing things, and feeling compelled, called toward reinventing and bringing some more flexibility and freedom and movement into your life. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a psychotherapist and astrologer, and I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you. So, the overall emotional tone of this week, we are in a waxing portion of the lunar cycle. Lunar cycle relates to our emotional state from week to week throughout the month. And so waxing is where we are moving forward, initiating. There's an emphasis around growth and elaborating on things. We have the first quarter moon in Libra on Monday, the 26th. And the first quarter is usually where there is a requirement or a decision or something needs to change or be redirected, or things become very clear as far as your direction forward. So usually first quarter, there's a little bit of a tension or stress even there. So I just want you to watch for that and to notice where and how you can find peace and balance in your own inner self. Again, because we're talking about the moon, the first quarter moon being in Libra. So there is a call for finding balance, a call for finding peace, your own inner peace here. Now, also this week, we have Mercury, the planet of communication, mind, thoughts, logic. Mercury is moving into the sign of Cancer. So from Gemini, where our thought process has been about, over the past month or so, about thinking very linearly, very analytical, really looking at the details and looking at the details from different vantage points, asking lots of questions. Mercury in Gemini has been about asking the questions and gaining more information from folks in our circle. Whereas now, Mercury moving into Cancer is about drawing upon your reasoning that's more abstract, more spatial, that's more connected to your intuition and to your emotions. Now, the other piece of this is that Mercury is also going to make a conjunction with the Sun. This is where they come together at the same point in the zodiac, and this is happening in the sign of Cancer. And so this is where there is a few different things here. So whenever a planet is conjunct the Sun, that planet is not visible because the Sun is so bright. And so we're having this transition from linear, logical kind of thinking, Mercury and Gemini, to being more about receiving information, being in the flow, receiving insights and communication with more emotional awareness, Mercury and Cancer. And there's also a point this week where there is where there's maybe things are not clear, or there's a loss of communication, or where there's we don't have the words for something. And there can be great intuitive insight, but maybe not the ability to verbalize it. And so we're all going to experience this different based on our temperament and our birth charts. But I just want you to know that it's kind of like this shift in energy, whereas we have been experiencing Mercury in a place where it's more about rational and logic, and this is more where we're working with intuition. Now, the other part of this week that's happening is we have Venus and Mars in Leo making a square to Uranus in Taurus. And so there's a few different things that can happen here. To break this down piece by piece, Venus is about relationships, love, beauty, aesthetics, money. Venus in this position is very important because Venus will be retrograde over in the next couple of months. Venus will be retrograde from late July to early September, and I'll make a whole other video about that. But we really want to notice what Venus is doing here because Venus will be in this section of the sky for longer than normal. There's more emphasis around putting more focus into our relationships, into our relationship with love and beauty and money and sexuality, all of those Venus things. Now, when Venus makes a square to Uranus, this is an aspect that's about reinvention, about doing things differently in relationships, in beauty, in aesthetics. Folks who have this aspect in their birth chart tend to be very creative, very innovative, very inventive. They're really drawn to create in a way that is unique and eclectic, and they may even have relationships or a way of relating that is outside the social norm in some way. So I like this aspect. There's a lot of energy here. Squares tend to be very dynamic. And squares usually call us into action because there's something that's happening that cannot simply go the way that it has been going. There's something that needs to change or that maybe needs a little more attention. And so this may mean in relationships, just with this one part before going to Mars yet, when we're talking about Venus square Uranus, this may mean a desire to feel more alive in your relationships, to feel a sense of freedom and expression, and to have some new, fresh energy there. If you are in the creative arts or aesthetic arts or work in beauty in any way, this is going to be tapping into your work as well. And so it may relate to the way that you do your work as well, and reinvigorating your career practice in some way. Now, Mars here, Mars is about our physical initiative. It's about courage, confrontation, assertiveness, anger, frustration. It's about our physical movement, our physical body, our ability to have the capacity to act when we need to. It's also about fighting for things. And Mars square Uranus, this is where there's a little more tension here, because it's like there's a need, a desire to really break free and to do this in a way that may be sort of confrontational. And so this can be experienced as a challenging aspect when we don't want, sometimes change can be inconvenient. And sometimes there's a part of us that wants to have change, or wants to have a scenario move in a different direction, or maybe we're in a situation that feels confining in some way. And when we have Mars Uranus, those scenarios where we feel bound or where we have bound ourselves for whatever reason, that can kind of like poke a hole in that sort of in that binding. And so this can be very inconvenient. This can be experienced as I'm thinking of the Tower card in Tarot. It can be experienced as an unexpected event. Uranus is about the unexpected. It can be experienced as a disruption, because Mars is about action and cutting into boundaries. And then Uranus is about the surprise. Now, the thing with Uranus is that it asks us to be flexible in our approach. In contrast to Saturn, is about doing things slowly, step by step, building, having structures, having boundaries, having the rules, the way that things go. And Uranus is balancing that out in our astrological ecosystem. Uranus is asking us to know that nothing is the same forever, that we are always changing and growing and evolving, and that in order to have more peace in our lives, and in order to be more human, it benefits us to have a flexible to approach things in a flexible way. And so what does this look like? So this looks like, I think the biggest thing is, and I think this is why conceptualizing this around, if you're familiar with the tarot and the Tower card shows when there is an unexpected change. And I say unexpected because it's usually where there is a foundation that something has been built upon that isn't really solid, or it's overdue for a rehaul. And so that's the feeling tone of this aspect, is that it benefits us by looking at where there is change that's coming in, or where we're feeling a call for a change, and honoring that as much as we can, so that we can find an outlet for that changeable, expressive, and passionate energy that we have this week, where we have Venus, Mars, and Uranus all combining together, all connecting together. So I think a fantastic time for looking at where and how maybe you want to reinvent something in your life. If there's any kind of creative or passion or anything around beauty or aesthetics that feels really exciting to you. This is also transit that's about novelty and enjoyment and pleasure. So all of those things. So I leave that to you to see how that may fit into your life. Again, some tension here, but I think is if we can figure out where we're being directed toward, that can be very helpful. Now, another aspect that's happening this week that feels a bit more easeful, that I think is sort of a complement to this, is that we'll have the Sun and Mercury in Cancer making a trine to Saturn and Pisces. And I like this because trines are when things flow easily. There's harmony here. There's cohesiveness. It tends to feel like all of the puzzle pieces in life are fitting together when we experience a trine. And it can be so effortless that we can sort of not pay attention to it or take it for granted. And I think that in life, it can be very easy to focus on what's not working versus what is working. And so what is working this week is our consciousness, Sun, and our mind, Mercury, are in alignment with Saturn, which is about getting shit done. It's about boundaries, structure, building, planning, devotion. So I think that, yes, there is this transition that's happening with Mercury, where it's going more into sort of a way of thinking that feels more spatial and intuitive. And we have Saturn there to support and to create that strong foundation and to allow things to flow in a way that where we can create and we can devote and we can work with limitations, Saturn. So I think that's something helpful to think about, and a way that we can work with this, the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn together, is writing things down. I mean, very literally, writing out your plans, journaling, making agreements, anything where you're putting your mind and your speech into a concrete form. Saturn can be very helpful. So we're going to pull some tarot cards for you here. If you have a particular scenario or something that's on your mind, you can hold that in your heart and focus on your body and your breathing. I find it helps to have, with readings and then things like this, it helps to have something particular in mind. Okay. Okay, so we have first the moon card. The moon is about the unconscious, both in astrology and in tarot. In tarot, the moon card is about walking into the unknown, into the wilds of the unconscious. And sometimes the moon can indicate that there is some fear here, or whether that's conscious or unconscious, maybe a little bit of anxiety. Fear and anxiety maybe about the unknown, And so I don't know, maybe that's something that's present for you right now. Regardless of that, it's saying that there's something that is not known, and that is the very nature of the unconscious, of working with the unconscious. And we all have unconscious material that's operating in our lives. That's the nature of being a human. So that's the first card. That tells me that there's a strong theme here around there is something that is unconscious that either you're working with or that's maybe playing out this week. I also pulled the Seven of Materials. And this card is about diligence, hard work, putting in the effort. It's funny, this figure is wearing black boots, like a light colored dress and black boots. And for a second, I almost thought the boots were like a panther sneaking out from under their skirt. And I don't know why, but I think that's really funny. So that I saw that, there's kind of like, that makes me think of that there is some sort of power, like ferocious power that is coming out through the work that you're doing. And I pulled this reversed too. So there's something here maybe where there's a lot of effort that's being put in. I may want to read the description in the guidebook because I'm feeling, there's something here on unconscious and work. But I want to tell you the third card is the Six of Voices. This is also the Six of Swords in the tarot. And this card, the six in general in numerology is about care and counsel. And I feel like there's a lot of like unconscious processing that's happening this week. So I'm curious what the guidebook says about this Seven of Materials. Okay, Seven of Materials. Sorry, sometimes when I'm like reading and then I have to do something logical, it doesn't always work. Okay, Seven of Materials. A pause, assessing your progress, perseverance, the long game, investment, manifesting for the future, gratitude, diligence. The image is of a sacred plateau. Okay, so yes, this makes sense to me here. So there's like something that is or has been operating that's kind of been like you've been doing things. Again, this is not bad, but there's something that's sort of been operating in your psyche underneath the surface that's been propelling you or having you operate in a certain way. And there's something that is happening now where it involves something that you've been doing for a long time, maybe reaching a plateau. The Seven of Materials is usually associated with career, work, things that we're putting our energy and effort toward. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be career, but it's something that you're invested in, that you're energetically invested in. And so that this card is reversed, it's kind of like there's a plateau that's been reached, and you may be thinking about what's going on, thinking, okay, like how do I want to go forward? And there may be a little bit of frustration there. Now, the Six of Voices, the Six of Swords, is about moving from a difficult situation to a more easeful, calm, and safe situation. This card is really about transition, and this is the final card. This is the most future energy, and so it's like there's something here where when you look at the fears or the unconscious patterning that's happening, especially around work that you've been putting in, there is a transition that can happen or that may happen or that will happen. And I like this card coming in the end because it's saying that there's something here in this process of reevaluation where it's going to help you move into a better position, and a position where you are working less. maybe not literally, but where you feel better, like where there's less anxiety and fear, etc. I hope that this is helpful. Of course, my name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a psychotherapist and astrologer. And if you resonate with this, if you're interested in working with me, I would love to chat with you. I offer astrology readings as well as psychotherapy. And you can find out more information about that on my website. And I am wishing you a wonderful week and sending you lots of love. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.